I will start off by asking you all, what are some of the most basic things that humans need? Most of you will say food, water, and shelter, and air, and that is correct. However, how many of you would put social companionship on the same level as those basic needs? We often think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs when we talk about what humans need to survive. He ranks safety and food and water and shelter as basic needs, while social companionship, which is belonging, and relationships as psychological needs. But I am here to tell you that social companionship is not just a psychological need, it is also a physical need, and a very important one at that. Here's a crazy statistic. The World Health Organization declared that loneliness can have as much effect on a person's health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. 15 cigarettes a day, which is a lot. And according to the academics, the National Academics of Science, Engineering, and Medicine, loneliness can lead to a 50% increased risk of dementia in older adults and a 30% increased risk of coronary heart diseases and stroke, which is quite serious and can impact your life expectancy. That is why the US Surgeon General said that loneliness can lead to a 29% increased risk of premature death as well. So your physical body needs social companionship. It's not just a psychological need, although it really is as well. And it's important that when I'm talking in my speech today about loneliness, that I define what loneliness means, because there is a difference between being lonely and being alone. Lonely refers to the psychological state of feeling unhappy due to a lack of social connection. And being alone refers to just the physical state of you being alone, like on your own. So a person can be alone but not necessarily feel lonely, and a person can be surrounded by a crowd of people and still feel lonely. So when I'm talking today about loneliness in the speech, I'm referring to the psychological feeling of being lonely. And it is no surprise that in the 21st century, there has been an increasing trend of loneliness that has been studied numerous times. And this is due to a variety of reasons, 3 of which I will list. For example, the 21st century has witnessed changing family structures and social structures, meaning that more people are choosing to live away from their families, and more people are choosing not to have families. And that's one contributor to feeling more lonely. There's also urbanization, so more people are leaving their hometowns, the places they grew up in, their neighborhoods, and moving to other places that they don't know, and that could increase loneliness. And obviously there is the rise of technology and social media, which has been often linked to feelings of social isolation. But it is to no surprise that the COVID-19 pandemic has really exacerbated the feelings of loneliness. Loneliness has been a big problem this century, but no event has really showed us how bad it was and how bad it can be than the pandemic. And I don't need to explain why that is. We've been through that. But now we have a different issue on our hand. I mean, COVID-19 ended about 2 years ago, and yet people are still more lonely than ever. And many researchers have pointed out that the generations that have been most affected by COVID-19 and still feel the most lonely are teenagers and children. And that is because it has been shown that their most important developmental years have occurred during COVID, and that has left many of them socially stunted to some capacity. And there's also the fact that we have been online for so long, and that has also shown that excessive use of the internet can actually backfire. So instead of feeling more connected to people, you actually feel the distance even more, and you wish that you could actually talk with people face to face. So that is another contributing factor. And in this graph that you see here from this year, this was recorded in February of this year, for US adults above the age of 18, many of them report that they've been feeling lonely before COVID, and even after COVID, they feel about the same amount of loneliness or even a slight increase. So that is why loneliness epidemic is what many organizations have been dubbing this phenomenon that we're seeing, because it is sort of a health concern that is spreading the way a disease would, like an epidemic. According to Harvard University, current levels of loneliness in the US have reached crisis levels. And if you think that this is just a first world problem and it's just developed countries are going through this, you're wrong, because also developing countries are going through loneliness. World Health Organization also said that 1 in every 4 adults across 142 countries feel socially isolated and lonely, which is about 5 and also 5 to 15% of all adolescents. So this is a major problem, a major global health concern. What can we do about the loneliness epidemic? Well, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have a complete solution for it, but I do have one possible key that could help us ease up the loneliness that we're feeling a bit. Let me introduce you all to the concept of third places. Now, you might have heard about this because it has been a term that's been coined around the internet for a few months now. And a third place, as I will explain in sociology, first place is your home. It is your place where you are meant to be in your privacy, in seclusion, to be, relaxed. Your second place is your work or school. It is where you are professional and uptight and on your best behavior. So your third place in sociology is a social gathering or a community place. It's a place that is sort of a middle ground between the privacy of your home and the professionalism of your second place. You're supposed to be there to connect with people and, talk. So the idea of a third place was first defined by Ray Oldenburg, who is an American sociologist. He, in his book, The Great Good Place, and he characterizes a third place in these characteristics. It is a neutral ground, meaning that the person has little to no obligation to be there. So, for example, your work in your school, you're obligated to be there. You don't have a choice. And you're also obligated to be at your home because that's where you live. But the third place, you don't have to be there. You're not forced to. You are there for the pleasure of it, for the fun. Secondly, the conversation is the main activity in the third place, meaning that it's not the only activity in the third place, but it is the activity that most people are participating in. And a third place is accessible and accommodating, meaning that it is easy for anyone to go there and talk. And it is accommodating, meaning that it provides for the needs of the people there. It has regulars, meaning that there are people who go there constantly and regularly, and those are the ones that provide the mood and the atmosphere for the third place. It has a playful mood, meaning the atmosphere there is not one of tension and hostility, it's one of wholesomeness and fun. And it is a place that fosters belonging and community, which is very important. It's a place, as he describes in his book, it should feel like a home away from home. It is not a place that people are supposed to be, far away from each other in. They're supposed to be together. And many psychologists and sociologists have been talking and swearing by the importance of third places for our mental health. For example, Casey Killam, who is a Harvard-trained social scientist, says that, quote, they are essential community resources and places where friends, family, and neighbors can meet, spend time together, and engage in civic life. And third places, in my opinion, I believe, are very important and very key to not solving, but helping ease the loneliness epidemic. And according to consultant psychologist Alina Taroni, she says that third places play an important role in our lives by offering a break from the work-home life, and it reduces feelings of loneliness, boosts our mood, and even increases our self-esteem. All of these things are vital for our mental health. And the third place, what happened is during COVID, they were all canceled because of public health concern. And our first place and second place was merged together because people had to work from home. And many psychologists argue that third places, second places, and first places need to be separated because our things, when they overlap with each other, they can cause stress and a lot of confusion. People tend to, productivity when you're working from home tends to be less, through many studies has been shown. And also neglect for the family when you're working at home. So it's better for these places to be all separate. And then the third place is important for someone to push aside their responsibilities and their work and focus on being there with their community. And in our current loneliness epidemic, where everyone is feeling incredibly isolated, it is important that we encourage more people to go to third places, even if it's difficult and even if our life is really busy. And according to, again, Dr. Taroni, by interacting with a wide range of people or even just allowing us to be around others, third places can help us develop a sense of belonging, especially in our fast-paced world where loneliness and social isolation is on the rise. So we are our brains are overstimulated more than ever. We're always, between work and school and scrolling online. We need to shut everything off and just go outside and catch up with people. And a third place can be anything. There's many types of third places, and they're all very broad and different. And many of them depend on the country you're in, or the region you're in, or your culture. So, for instance, many common third places tend to be cafes or coffee shops where people come and just have a cup of tea or coffee. For men, in a lot of countries, the barber shop is the third place. They go have a shave and they discuss politics with each other. You have parks, public parks. You have clubs like bowling alleys and what do we call them? Chess clubs and tennis clubs. And you have gyms. You have libraries, you have community centers, you even have places of worship. Places of worship can be third places because people tend to bond over their faith or their religion. So churches and mosques, a lot of people tend to communicate and commute there. So a third place can be anything. It doesn't have to be for money, it doesn't have to be far away, but it has to be there. And in our fast-paced 21st century world, it could be very difficult to set aside time and have time to talk with your friends and discuss a third place. But as I said, many psychologists and sociologists believe that this is vital for our mental health and to ease up feelings of loneliness. And we need to encourage people to go out and find more third places and encourage our governments to build places that can be third places for our people. And it is to no surprise that we humans are social species because that has helped us to survive since our hunter-gatherer days. Community was what helped us live and thrive, and that is why our bodies and our brains are hardwired to physically want companionship to the point that, the statistics about the 15 cigarettes. So, to conclude, I want you all today to find your third place. Discuss one with your friends, and even if you don't have friends, you could even try to find a third place that is about sharing a hobby of yours and finding people that have a similar interest as you and bond over that. Because third places can turn a strange neighborhood into a welcoming home. So that is my message to all of you today. Thank you.